Okay, I'm just recording in the speaker mode. Okay. Om Shuklam Varadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so as you know, today we are going to look at this beautiful Panchakam. It's a prayer to Lord Ganesha in 5 verses that is attributed to Sri Adi Shankaracharya. Okay. So it is called as Sri Ganesha Pancharatnam. Sri Ganesha. So who doesn't know Sri Ganesha, the deity, well known and loved all over the world, truly, So Sri Ganesha, as we all know, is worshipped as the remover of obstacles. He's also Ganesha. What does this word mean? Ganesha, He is the Lord of the Ganas, also called Ganapati. Gananam Patihi. So what do we mean by Ganas? So the word Gana refers to a group or a category, So devas are described in terms of groups. For example, Dwadasha Adityas, Ekadasha Rudras, Ashtavasus, like that. The groups are there. Or then there are also demigods, what they call as demigods in English. But again, devatas, different category of devatas, who we call as ganas, like who are associated with certain deities, like Shiva ganas, Prathama ganas. So these are also deities, gods. So Ganesha, Sri Ganesha is the one who's the lord of, who's the leader of all of them. So also the word Gana has some association astrologically with the moon. And moon, as we know, is the deity connected to our mind. And so Sri Ganesha is the one who is also someone who removes obstacles connected to one's mind, whether it is in terms of maturity, whether it is in terms of knowledge, intellect. So thus, as we know, he is his consorts. He has 2 consorts. So Siddhi and Buddhi, or Siddhi and Riddhi, another name, And so sometimes, sometimes one associates Sri Ganesha as being without any consorts, but he is also depicted as having consorts. So what does that mean? Sometimes people ask this, they get confused. So in one of his avatars, in his Ashta, there are 8 particular manifestations called as Ashtavinayakas. And in one of them, so Mayureshwara, where he is manifest as Mayureshwara, he is shown with these 2 consorts, which is Siddhi and Buddhi, So thus he is someone who also helps remove obstacles connected to our mind, and is worshipped as such also. So he is Sri Ganapati, Ganesha, and Pancharatnam. So Ratnam, as we all know, Ratnam refers to anything which is precious, jewels. Generally, we connect it to jewels because they are rare and they are precious. But Ratnam also means anything that is valuable. It's also called as Ratnam. So 14 Ratnams are said to have emerged at the time of Samudra Mathanam, and so those very valuable things like Amritam. So Dhanvantari came up and gave that to the Devas and so on. So thus Ratnam refers to anything that is valuable. And this Pancham, of course, is 5. So these are 5 verses which carry a lot of meaning. And so thus they in terms of the knowledge contained therein, and also in terms of the message that the verses convey. So thus we have these 5 beautiful verses. So as in the form of a prayer to Sri Ganesha. So let's begin with that and see what they are. Mudakarattamodakam sada vimukti sadhakam kaladharavatam sakam vilasi lokarakshakam anayakaikanayakam vinashitaibhadaityakam natashubhashubha shunashakam namamitam vinayakam. I'm not going to sing it as you are familiar with, but these are the words. Mudakaratta modakam sada vimukti sadhakam. So modaka, who doesn't know what's a modaka? Modaka is, so the sweet, the sweet, made in different ways. But then it is something which gives joy, something which is pleasing, something which everyone likes, cherishes. And so Karam, he holds it in his hand. So in one of his hands, Sri Ganesha holds this modaka. And because why? He is someone who bestows, who gives peace and happiness, to indicate that, So Sri Ganesha is usually depicted with 4 arms, and one of which he holds modakam. The other 2 he holds pasha and ankusha, two weapons. And then one hand is in the hand of a blessing. So nothing to fear, called Abhaya Mudra, Or he says, so these things which deities hold, we have always the murtis in which gods are holding different things, They're called ayudhas, ayudhas. Generally, it's translated as weapons, So, but it's not just about weapons, So Bhagavan, they don't hold only weapons. That's for one thing to understand. Ayudha means anything that is in their hand is Ayudha. And sometimes Ayudha also, if you look at Google, they'll say it is accessories. They're not really. What's an accessory? Human beings carry accessories. We wear accessories, Like you carry a matching shoes, matching purse, so matching tie. These are all called accessories. Watch, all kinds of watches. So accessories we wear to enhance one's appearance, So I look better, I look grand, whatever. Gods don't need accessories. Goddesses don't need accessories to make them look better, And accessories are not really part of the murti either. What about what we put on them? Clothes, etc. Are they accessories? So what we offer, these are offerings. They are part of our upachara puja. In puja, we make offerings to the Lord of things which are beautiful and valuable, in recognition of the fact that all that is beautiful is Bhagavan's glory, is which I treasure, and then that is all I can offer back to the deity. So we decorate them, but they're not part of their original murti. But ayudhas are. So those represent, they are symbolic, they are representations of Shakti. Different types of Shakti. Ishvara's Shakti, Bhagavan's Shakti. So they may be in the form of weapons in order to help one deal with different types of obstacles in one's spiritual path. Or there may be other things also, like a mala, for example. So Sri Goddess Saraswati carries a mala. Lord Dakshinamurti has a mala in one of his hands. It may be a kamandalu, Dattatreya, you can carry a kamandalu, or it may be veena, it could be venu, flute, etc. Different birds sometimes, even animals. So these all have symbolic meaning. Sri Ganesha carries Pasha. Pasha is a noose. So the purpose of a noose is to bind. I mean, it is said, so to bind threefold things, obstacles or threefold enemies. These are called as avidya, kama, and karma. So avidya, so ignorance, and then which gives rise to desires, and then all that is associated with that in terms of actions and results. So these threefold enemies are the ones that are to be bound together to contain them. Not only that, Pasha also contains, so containing one's indriyas, one's senses. He is the Lord of the mind. So our senses need to be controlled, in our control. That is part of our growth process. And so the Pasha indicates that also. And then, of course, you have this other weapon, which is called Ankusham. Ankusham is a goad. Goad is the thing which they use to control elephants. That's an amazing tool. The tool, because it's a tool really, not a weapon. It's a weapon. You don't kill an elephant with that. So it has a very small thing. It has a sharp edge. It has a little hook. And so just with that, this huge elephant, so a powerhouse can be managed by the person who's sitting up there. So they don't really hurt the elephants with that, but then they touch them on the sensitive spots, and then they are able to get them to do what they want. And that represents the buddhi. The intellect has to be sharp, like the point of a ankusha, of a goad. And then, of course, it has a little hook also. And in order to control our senses, to manage this whole big equipment that he has. So thus, these are all Bhagavan's weapons, or this ayudas given to us, shaktis, in the form of shaktis that we use in order for our own spiritual growth. That's why we also worship them, sometimes separately, like Sudarshana Chakram. So it is also depicted sometimes as a deity itself, and so worshipped as an anthropomorphic form. The Sudarshana Devata is there, and so he's worshipped in that form. So he is, so Modaka is other things, other ayudas. Vimukti sadhakam. He is Vimukti sadhakam, the one who's a means, who becomes a means in order to help me gain the ultimate purushartha, gain the ultimate end of life in the form of moksha. So, and then, of course, how does he do that? By preparing me for knowledge, and also by giving me maturity, removing the obstacles. Kaladharava tamsakam, the one who wears the kalas has a kala on his forehead. Kala is so moon, the crescent moon. Lord Shiva has it. Parvati Devi has it, So this kala, moon, the kala is a digit of a moon. So then the moon is an amazing metaphor, When you look at the moon, and so look at the sky, the moon is a full moon. And then there is a new moon where you don't see the moon. And in between there is the different, so it is parts of the moon. Okay. So these are in the 14, you see them in 2 weeks from the full moon to the new moon. And so it comes up, then it goes down. It manifests, it unmanifests, okay, over a period of time. And so it's as though it is appearing and disappearing. It appears in its full form, and then it completely disappears. It is resolved. All along, it's never gone. It's there. The moon is there, but that is only how it appears to us. It's a beautiful metaphor for creation, for the manifestation of Bhagavan himself, how this Srishti is manifest, how it is unmanifest. So that is all indicated by What are these called as a kala? So kala or Shakti, another form of Bhagavan's Shakti. So it is the Shakti, also called Maya Shakti, also called Prakriti. All these different words indicate the same idea. So that which makes everything appear. So he wields that also. That is something that decorates his crown because it is Bhagavad Shakti that is there with Sri Ganesha. Kaladharava Tamsakam. It is said that Sri Krishna had Shodasha Kala. He was a Shodasha Kala Purusha. That's how they describe sometimes Sri Krishna. What does that mean? Shodasha Kala means he has all the 16 in the sense like a full moon. So Sri Krishna was a complete, is a Purna Avatara where he manifests all what is described as the qualities, bhagas, associated with Ishvara are manifest in him. And so he's called as Shodasha Kala Purushaha. So these are all the symbolic meanings of that. Vilasi Loka Rakshakam. He's a Rakshaka, he's the protector, the one who protects the whole universe without any effort. For Bhagavan, it's not a job to be done. It is something that just happens very effortlessly. Anayakaika Nayakam. He's the Nayaka. He's the protector. He's the guide. Of whom? Of Anayakas. So he's the Nayaka of Anayakas. Anayaka is those who don't have a protector, which is all of us. Who really speaking, who protects us? Who protects us? We help each other out, but nobody protects anybody. It is alone, Bhagavan alone, who protects every living creature, every living being, the whole world, and so on. So, protects us by keeping us in the path of our whatever we are meant to accomplish, of our purpose. So he says he is the sole refuge, Ekanayakam. Also, he is the sole refuge of the ones who do not have any other refuge. Vinashitaiba Daityakam. The one, Ibha is the elephant. So the one who who caused the destruction of these elephant asuras. So elephant, so the elephant Gajasura. So they call them Gajasuras or Gajamukha Asura. Gajasura, there was one Gajasura, Asura whose name was Gajasura, who actually was destroyed by Lord Shiva. Is described. Here, what it is, so there are other also Asuras. Asuras represent the negative tendencies in us, so which manifest in different ways. So therefore, if you look at a lot of this in the Puranas, when the battles are described, these Asuras change their forms. Our mind changes its form. It changes its character, the defenses, that interfere with our well-being and our growth. And so some of them are easy to handle, some of them are difficult to handle, some of them are formidable. And so the one that is like an elephant, Asuras also will change their forms. So they becomes in Devi Mahatmyam, you see this all over. They keep changing their forms. So he becomes Mahishasura. So he becomes a lion, he becomes this, he becomes that. So like that, so they also take on the form of an elephant. So that is called as Gaja Mukha Asura. So the Gaja Mukham represents certain characteristics associated with elephants, like fearlessness, strength, imposing, large, things like that. So he destroyed many Daityas. Daityas are asuras. So many manifestation in Ashtavinayaka, if you see, so there are different manifestations. In the 8 manifestations, there are asuras talked about. So these are asuras whose name, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Kamasura, Lobhasura, Krodhasura, is like that. There are asuras are there, 6, and then there's a Mamasura and Ahankarasura. So then there are the stories connected with those. And Sri Ganesha, like that, he took care of a lot of asuras. He said. Natashu bhashu nashakam. Ashubham, that which is immediately. Bhagavan Sri Ganesha, and for those who worship him, pray to him, immediately so destroys all that is inauspicious, Ashubham. Those who are caught under the spell of inauspicious things, bad times, and so on. So that's why we pray to see Ganesha in the beginning itself, because we know there are obstacles to be expected. It's the nature of things. Things don't go smooth sometimes. Rarely they go smoothly. So we always invoke him in the beginning itself, so that keeping that in mind, and so that we have his blessing, we have Daivam on our side to fully accomplish what we are trying to accomplish. To such to such a to such a deity, Sri Ganesha, Namami Tam. I I bow, I salute him. Tam Vinayakam. Who is Vinayakam? Who's Vinayakam? Again, the Vinayakam is the one who, so the one who is the leader of all. Nayaka. The word V is a prefix added to Nayaka. V has two meanings. So to one meaning is the opposite. So opposite is the one without a Nayaka is called Vinayaka. Okay. Or the Vinayaka is the one who's distinct, and the distinct as a leader, as one who leads and protects and destroys all obstacles. Yes. There are 56 other manifestations of Sri Vinayaka that are talked about in the Puranas, And you see in Kashi, there's the Kashi Mandala. We go to Kashi, there are this circle of 56 temples of Sri Vinayaka with different forms, different manifestations. Number 2, Nate Tarati Bhikaram Navodhitarkabhaswaram Namatsurari Nirjaram Natadhikapaduttaram Sureshwaram Nidhishwaram Gajeshwaram Ganeshwaram Maheshwaram Tamashraye Paratparam Nirantaram. Natetarati Bhitakam. For those who, Nataha is the ones who worship. Netaras are the ones who do not worship. Okay. So the ones who do not recognize the Lord, the ones who do not recognize Daivam principle in life, then he is Ati Bhikaram. Bhikaram is the frightening. Why? Oh, frightening. Why is he frightening? Not because he is frightening. He is frightening because, so that is the nature of karma. If one doesn't recognize Daivam, doesn't understand what Daivam is, then when things happen to us that give us sorrow, or they give us unhappiness, then we get frightened of them. We don't want them. They become problems. We don't know how to deal with them, and everything gets magnified. So he says, verse, for the ones who recognize Bhagavan, then for them, they don't see it in the same way. So thus, the same Lord, same Narasimha, who frightened everybody when he manifests, except Prahlada. Prahlada didn't get frightened at all by him, by his form, because he was so devoted to him. So he didn't see what the others saw, or he saw something different in whatever he saw. So thus, he's Bhikaram, Bhayam, gives Bhayam, Bhagavan gives Bhayam to people who don't recognize him. But those who do, they feel no fear, So, Navoditarka Bhaswaram. He is Arka. Arka, all know it is the sun. And Navoditam is that just arisen. A sun which has just arisen. He says he is like radiant. He is radiant like the sun who's just rising. Not just rising in terms of looking beautiful, but when you sunrise, it wakes us up, it rejuvenates, it enlivens all beings. Not only that, it enlightens. It's also in the form of light, also represents knowledge and clarity. So thus, Sri Ganesha is like that. You see his form, you enter the temple, you see his form first on your left side, and then that itself, you feel rejuvenated by that. Namat Surari Nirjaram, the one who destroys the Aris. Aris are the enemies. Of whose enemies? Suras, Devas. Of course, human beings we know, but even the Devas have other beings inimical to them. So the Sri Ganesha is the one who also who protects them too. So from the enemies, those that turn to him, and Devas do turn to him for that. Natadi kapad uddharam, apad uddharam, apadas are apadam. So apada we know are calamities. So people who are caught up in the all kinds of calamities that we face individually or as a group, he says, Uddharam, the one who lifts up, the one who caught up in the different types of calamities that affect us. A particular form of Vinayaka in that I worshipped, I mentioned the 56 forms temples that are there. So one of is called Khara Vinayaka. This Khara Vinayaka, the particular manifestations, is one of the temples in that mandala, and he is specially invoked for at the times of calamities to help one overcome that. So Sureshwaram is the one who is the lord of Suras. Suras are Devas. Asuras are this is opposite. And Nidhishwaram, the one who's the giver, who's the giver of the nidhis. Nidhis are again different types of treasures, things which are valuable, described in different ways in different Puranas. Sometimes different meanings are given also for the Navanidhis. He's the one who gives them, not Kubera. Kubera is the one who guards them, but the one who gives them, Nidhishwara, is Sri Ganesha. He is Gajeshwaram, of course. He's the lord of all the Gajas. Gajas having their face. Elephants are really elephants. They symbolize majesty. They don't just symbolize. They are majestic in appearance, in their form, in their behavior, in their manner. They are not big clumsy things. They are so graceful, even in the way they walk. They are highly intelligent. They call them the gentle giants, and they have tremendous memories that elephants have. Also, their disposition, they are good listeners. All these qualities, great qualities, are associated with that particular Gaja Mukham, the face of Gaja, of elephant. So that's why. Also, Shravanam, if you see, even Gautama, Gautama Buddha, if you see his statues, they always depict him with very big ears. So that's to indicate the importance of Shravanam in religious pursuit. He's Gajeshwaram, Ganeshwaram. Ganeshwaram we have seen. He's the Lord of Ganas, Ganapati. So Ganeshaha, Ganeshwaram. So it's all Lord of Ganas connected to Lord Shiva. So Shiva Ganas are there. And so he is the one who's the leader of all of them. And of course, he's the one who's the greatest Mahan. Mahan means that which is infinite. Maheshwaram. Ishvara. Ishaha means the one who lords over everything. It's called Ishvara. Number 3. Samastaloka Shankaram Nirasta Daitya Kunjaram Daretarodaram Varam Varebhavaktram Aksharam Krupakaram Kshamaakaram Mudakaram Yashaskaram Manaskaram namaskrutam namaskaromi bhaswaram. Samasta loka shankaram. Shamkaroti is Shankaraha. The one who gives Sham. Sham is auspiciousness. So the one who gives auspiciousness or prosperity or tranquility is Bhagavan. You know. So anything that comes from the Lord is auspicious. It may be desirable to us, it may be sometimes even undesirable to us or unwanted, but really it is auspicious. Why is it auspicious? Because it is always an opportunity for moving forward in our spiritual journey. You look at one's own life, and every time get to some crossroads, every time you get to some bifurcation, every time these things happen, so which at the moment it may seem whatever it seems like, but then in every instance, in every event, there is an opportunity for growth. There is an opportunity for spiritual growth. So from a spiritual standpoint, really speaking, Bhagavan's laws are not meant to make people suffer. You know, even in the hurt, even in the pain, there is an opportunity for growth. A bhakta always looks at life in that kind of a way. It looks at life and the events that come to him as therefore everything is a blessing. The bhakta takes everything as a blessing from the Lord, because understand or not, it is something that eventually must be for my good, because Bhagavan won't do anything otherwise. That kind of an attitude is an attitude of devotion. So of course, he is the one who always gives Sham. Bhagavan has no reason to not do that, or to be otherwise. So thus he blesses the entire world, not just human beings, but the asuras, the devas, all of them, any living creature, any living being. So he says, he samasta loka shankaram. And especially this particular form is a form that, people take to that particular form, Nirasta Daitya Kunjaram, the one who, we saw this before. So the one who, Kunjaraha is elephant, also another word for elephant. And so the one who, the Daityas who are, so Gajamukhas, Now Gajasura was a particular asura, but Gajamukhasuras are the asuras who manifest in the form of, so like a elephant, characteristics of an elephant as an asura. For example, Tarakasura. There was a Tarakasura also, who also manifest in the form of a elephant when he was fighting with Lord Kartikeya. And then Sri Kartikeya destroys him at that point. And so, see, so that is another. It says it means the same thing. So, Dareta Rodaram, the one, Udaram is the stomach. So as we all know, Sri Ganesha is depicted with a huge stomach. And so that is something that represents the bigness, the infinity, the one that contains within him the entire universe, the entire manifest. Is a cosmic form. And so it's indicated by that, his udaram, by his large abdomen. Varam, he is Varam. Varam is Varaniyam, the one who is most exalted, the one who is worshipful, the one who is respected, Varebha Vaktram. Vaktram is the face. Ibha, I said before, Ibha is an elephant. So the one who has the face of an elephant. So he reminds us all the features and the characteristics of a elephant. He is Aksharam, the one that doesn't decline. Things decline like us, good example. So as we grow, we grow for a while, then we start declining. It's all subject to time. It is all because we are subject to time. Bhagavan is not subject to time. He is time. He transcends time. So therefore, as one who transcends time, He is not subject to time. He is imperishable. Aksharam also means imperishable by virtue of being transcendental. Kripakaram, the one who's full of compassion. Bhagavan is full of compassion towards those who are devoted to him. Those who are devoted recognize it. Compassionate to all. The one who, Sri Ganesha is one deity, it is said, he is the most easy to please. You don't have to do anything much elaborate. Simple prayers they do to Sri Ganesha, and then he blesses in many ways. Even puja when we do, So in the puja, in the Shodasha Upachara puja, so it will take a whole Upachara, detailed puja is done. But it's Adi, Adav, Sri Mahaganapati Pujam Karishye, and at that time, quick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it just puts everything together. Even the Upacharas are not individually done, they are condensed. All these kind of shortcuts, it looks very quickly is done, but that is Bhagavan, he blesses no less. And so even if when done in a very simple way, Kshama, the one who's ready to forgive, Shama is in the compassion, there is Shama, that forgiveness. Forgiveness is something which people very difficult to understand what this forgiveness is about. Kshama is also word. Some of the goddesses are called Kshama. So Sri Parvati, Shakti is called as Kshama. Sri Mahalakshmi is also called as Kshama. In one of their names in doing this Ashtottaram and all, Kshamayai Namaha. Like that they'll do the offering. So Kshama is full, the one who's full of compassion. That is the nature of Bhagavan. Compassion is not just forgiveness, the willingness to forgive. Forgive is only Bhagavan forgives. We don't know what forgiveness is, Forgiveness is not pardon. Like presidential pardon. So we think, please forgive me, please forgive me. Generally, people say, usually when we are caught. When we are caught doing something which we don't not supposed to do, then we'll say, please forgive me. If you are not caught, then nobody asks for forgiveness. If you are asked for forgiveness when you're not caught, that means you're admitting guilt. Lawyer will say, don't ask for forgiveness. So let them first accuse, let them find out what you did, then you can ask for pardon. And of course, for presidential pardon, we all know what that is. So if you are in jail, you come out of jail. That's why everybody wants pardon at that time, So it is not, Bhagavan doesn't pardon like that. That is not pardon or forgiveness. So here, that karma is karma, Karma is karma. When you see, look into this, the meaning of forgiveness. Forgiveness means not seeking retribution, not seeking vengeance. That is called forgiveness, And so, because how can I seek vengeance, Because we don't know all the factors involved in accusing somebody. We can accuse anybody, but then we don't know all that is involved. So how am I going to decide on the punishment? Only Bhagavan. That's why they say only Bhagavan. So let vengeance be the Lord's. They say like that because human beings cannot have. They don't know how to figure that out. It's all karma. So karma acts in its own way, So Bhagavan's forgiveness doesn't mean that karma is not going to have its effect. Bhagavan's forgiveness will mean that it will help me handle the karma phalam in a way that is, I can handle it, So Bhagavan is the one who protects us even from adharma, and also when we do things which are not to be done, then as a result of our own karma again. So that is where prayashchittam and all come into the play. So when prayashchittam is done, so acknowledgement is done, then so that result has its own karma phalam, and so in the form of forgiveness. So anyway, this is a whole other big topic. We'll see that sometime. But mudakaram, so the one who gives modam, immense joy. Yashaskaram, the one who bestows glory and fame also. It's not something that we pray for, but it is something as a byproduct. Manaskaram, the one who gives me the right mind in order to pursue my spiritual pursuit. Then namaskritam, namaskaromi bhaswaram, the one who is illuminant and bright, unto him my prostrations. 4. Akinchanarti marjaram chirantanokti bhajanam Purari Purvanandanam Surari Garva Charvanam Prapanchanasha Bhishanam Dhananjayadi Bhushanam Kapoladana Varnavam Bhaje Purana Varanam. Akinchanarti Marjanam. You know, Akinchanam. Akinchana are the one who, Kinchanam means something, anything, something, little something like that we say, no? Kinchanam. Akinchanam means what? Nothing. The one who has nothing is Akinchana. And Arti is the one who's distressed. So the one who's distressed, who has nothing, because of which he is distressed, he says he is Marjaram. He washes off, he cleanses him, he frees him from the misery of having nothing. In other words, he soothes, he washes away the misery of a person who is destitute, who has nothing, or feels he has nothing. We may not, well, sometimes even we may have something, or we may have a lot of things, but still feel miserable, feel like Kanchanas, So even that person, if he is devoted, so then the Bhagwan takes away that sense of miserliness or sense of being without anything. Chiranta Nokti Bhajanam, the one who is a receptacle. The one who is a receptacle of Chirantana Ukti. This is a beautiful word, Ukti is the words, the sayings, eternal sayings. Chirantanam is the eternal sayings, What are the eternal sayings? The eternal saying, knowledge, in the form of knowledge. So the sayings of the Vedas, we're talking about the Vedas now. Veda is a body of knowledge, not the books. It's a body of knowledge which may be contained in the books later on when you write them down. But then otherwise it's a body of knowledge. And that is with, to know. And which is knowledge means it's factual. So it's connected to the fact, it's connected to the truth. And so factual knowledge is knowledge. And so that is what is called as Niveda. It is a knowledge that is maybe specific in terms of Brahma Vidya, in terms of Atma Vidya, or it is knowledge of life, of dharma, adharma, of relationships, of right and wrong. And so this is all what is meant by Chirantana Ukti, what we call as Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is dharma which is Sanatanam. Now you can see what it means. It means that which is connected to the fact. It is factual. It is knowledge. It comes as long as there are facts around. That is what is called truth. In other words, as long as truth is there, knowledge connected to the truth, how can you take that away? How can that be destroyed? How can that be wiped out? How can that be eliminated? It's like wanting to eliminate the truth, Somebody want to eliminate mathematics. How can one eliminate mathematics? It is the truth. It is some kind, it is 2 plus 2 is 4. It's some kind of a thing is there. So it is connected to some factual, If somebody thinks, this fellow, he got his, started scratching, itching in his head. And so he's wondering what happened. Finally, he figured out, I'm getting all these head problems because of mathematics. Why mathematics? Because, I've been introduced to algebra and all that. Because mathema ticks, he thought. In Gujarati, matha is head. So mathema, in the head, he got some ticks. He thought maybe I have some ticks in my hair. And so that's why I'm getting itching. And so I have to solve this problem. How do I solve this problem? It all happened because of mathematics. Because mathematics are you. Mathematics, and then I'm going to eliminate mathematics. He says, you're not going to eliminate mathematics. You eliminate your ticks. Ticks you can't eliminate. How are you going to eliminate what to talk of mathematics? So it doesn't, these things don't work like that. Sanatanam is that which is there. It is connected to knowledge. As long as the world is there, that knowledge will be there. So that's that dharma. That body of knowledge is called as Sanatana Dharma. It has many other meanings too. And so he says that which is Chirantanam, the very source of that is Bhagavan. And so neither Bhagavan can be eliminated, nor the knowledge connected to the Lord can ever be right. We can seek to know it, or we need not know it. We need not understand it. That depends on our mind. But in itself, it is always going to be there. He is the one who's the receptacle. Purari Purva Nandanam. He is Nandanam. He is the beloved of what? So Purari Purva refers to Lord Shiva. Okay. So Ripu, Ripu is the enemy of Tripura. Okay. Purari is Tripurari. So the Tripura, so the one who destroyed the Asura, the Tripura cities, that was Lord Shiva. And he is the Nandanam. He is the beloved of his father, in other words. So that's the way he is addressed here. Then Surari Garva Charvanam. So here, Surari, Aris of Sura, the enemies of the gods are the Asuras, and their pride, Garva, is the one who destroyed their pride, especially in the 8th avatara of Ashtavinayakas. There is an Asura called as Ahankara Asura. And so Sri Ganesha overcomes that Ahankara Asura. And you should see about that battle. He doesn't really do anything also. His very presence itself, the Asura surrenders like that to him, So that is Sri Ganesha. He doesn't have to fight a fight. It is his presence that he wins over all the enemies, Prapancha Nasha Bhishanam, the one who destroys the prapanchas. Prapancha is the manifold world that I experience, the world that is created by my ignorance. That kind of a world is the phenomenal world, what we call as the phenomenal world, the world of our experience. So the subjective, objective world, the one who destroys it by virtue of knowledge, by virtue of self-knowledge, Brahmatma Jnanam. So he is such a person. Dhananjayadi Bhushanam, the one who, Dhananjaya is the name of a Naga. The one who's adorned by the Naga. So Sri Ganesha in his murtis, in icon, sometimes is connected with snakes, So there may be snake around his neck, or sometimes there's a snake like a Yajnopavitam, or a snake around his abdomen. So all representing Shakti, different types of Shakti, and connected with different stories in the Puranas, how he ends up getting these particular abhushanams, as part of his form. Upasana, what we call Upasana Murti. Forms of the deities are forms for us to worship, do Upasana on. So they are called as Upasana Murtis. Kapola Dana Varanam. Again, the one who's elephant faced, but the musk of the elephant, when it flows, it has a shiny appearance and kind of like an ornament like look it has. And so he describes the Sri Ganesha's face like that, like having that kind of a appearance, shiny appearance. And Purana Varanam, the one who's like the Puranas, in the sense, the one who's ancient and the one who's also current. The one who's Puranas means that which were ancient stories and all that we have of kings and devas. And at the same time, even though ancient, It's not just antiques, the useless antiques. These are also current. What applied then applies now, which is what we see from the Itihasas and Puranas. 5. Nitanta Kanta Danta Kanti Manta Kanta Katmajam Achintya Rupamantihinam Antaraya Krintanam Hridantare Nirantaram Vasantameva Yoginam Tamekadantem tam Vichintayami Santatam. Nitantak tam ekadantam eva tam vichintayami santatam. Always satatam. I always chintayami. I always think of. I always try to remember whom. Tam ekadantam. That Lord Ganesha who with the one tusk, the single tusk, the Lord with the single tusk, he says, who's what? Whose Nitanta Kanta Danta Kantim. Nitanta Kanta is the one whose face is bright. The one whose face is bright, and that Kanti is brightness, and who's also brightened more, enhanced. The brightness of whose face is enhanced by the bright tusk that he has, is a tusk. Tusk is a tooth, we know all that, ivory. So the ivory tusk, the tooth, so bright white, It's not like some of the, yellow teeth. So like, which is only dentine, there's a nice enamel it has. So he says that ivory is also something very unique. So ivory is supposed to be more valuable than even gold, because even there's more gold available in the earth than there is ivory, So incidentally, so we have ivory, they make things out of ivory, we all know that. But incidentally, ivory images are not used for puja. Generally, it is not to be used. Sometimes ivory images people keep in their homes, which is okay. But generally, it's not supposed to be put in the altar to do worship. They say that. Obviously, because it is a tooth, So in any case, so that's incidental. But he is the one whose bright face is enhanced by the bright white tusks of his Antaka. Antaka. So the one who's the Antaka of the Antakas, is and Antaka and his Atmajam, the one who's the beloved of what? Sri Ganesha is the beloved of whom? Of the Antaka, who brought an end. To whom did he bring an end to? Of Antaka, another Antaka, with time. So Lord Shiva is the one, he's Kalantaka. He's called Kalantaka, the one who's Kalarupam, at the same time the one who brings an end to time. That refers to Lord Shiva. And his beloved son is Lord Ganesha, he says. So the one who's the beloved of Lord Shiva, he says, Achintya Rupam. Chintakam, he says, I chintayami. I think of him, And who is he? He's Achintya Rupam. He's somebody who cannot be thought of, So here referring then what are we worshipping? Well, that is referring to the transcendental nature of Bhagavan, So the Lord is both transcendent and the Lord is immanent at the same time. That is why we can worship Bhagavan, because we worship the immanent, we worship the manifest, we worship the Murti. But at the same time, we recognize also that he is also someone who transcends all of that. So the one who is himself by Swarupam, essentially Achintya Rupam. But at the same time, I am Chintayami. I always think of him in manifest, as manifest. And that is why there is nothing outside of Ishvara for us. There's nothing that is not sacred. It is Sarva Chinta Samuttitaha. This is the one who is beyond all the functions of Chintanam. That is the transcendental nature. Yet, yet I'm the one who worships him and thinks of him all the time. It's correct. It's not a contradiction. Hrid, Hridantar Chinti Rupam Antahinam. Antahinam, having no end, the one who has no end, the one who is limitless. Antaraya Krintaram, who the one who removes all the impediments in one's spiritual pursuit. And such a Lord Ganesha, Hridantare Nirantaram Vasantam, the one who always abides, where in the hearts, of whose hearts? Of the yoginam, of the yogis, so of those who pursue him, of those who seek him, of those who are devoted to him. He always abides in the heart. Bhagavan abides in everybody's heart, but he is not available for those who don't seek him. For those who seek him, he is just there, just there. So the fifth and then the last verse is added as a what we call as a Phalashruti. Phalashruti is something that, so it talks about what the benefit of this prayer, how this particular prayer. Sometimes people say, no, so I don't know how to pray, so I don't know what to do. And when should, when should I say what prayers? That's another thing, complicated, Do I have to go to an astrologer to find out what prayer to say at what time and how it's going to benefit me and all that? We don't need to worry about all that. It's all there. In the prayers itself, very often the Phala Shruti is given. It's a kind of a way of any prayer is good. Any prayer is good. There is no prayer better than the other prayer. Okay. All a prayer is a prayer. It is in the context of a connection. It's a conversation with the Lord. It's a communion with Bhagavan. It's the way we connect, we communicate, we commune with our source from whom we have come. So in that, what is better or what is worse? Nothing. It's all the same. Yet, so there are certain specific things that we are, sometimes they say, sometimes we ask for, sometimes we invoke in a certain way. So those are the things that sometimes make it specific. And so it's also specified so that we don't have these kinds of questions. But anyway, generally it is all encompassing. They cover everything on the prayer, like the PDR, the PDR, when it talks of side effects, everything will be there. So all that will be mentioned there. Anyway, so here, MahaGanesha Pancharatnam Adarena Yonvaham Prajalpati Prabhatake Hridi Smaran Ganeshwaram Arogatam Adoshatam Suhahitim Suputratam Samahita Yurashtabhutim Abhyupaiti Sorchitat. MahaGanesha Pancharatnam Adarena Yaha. So the one who Prajalpati. So the one who recites every, so with attention and with devotion, the one who recites this particular prayer every day, he says every morning, thinking of Sri Hridi Smaran Ganeshwaram, thinking of Lord Ganesha in one's heart, he says gets phalam. What kind of phalam he gets? He gets arogatam. Arogatam is freedom from roga, illness. Illnesses of the body and the mind, all kinds of illness. The illnesses are roga is connected to, is looked upon as a result of papa karmas. That's how we understand them. That's why they happen. And not that one can't do anything about it, but then there's somehow that is connected. Because nothing I did now, it looks that way. Sometimes we do things also that causes roga, but sometimes it looks like, so where did this come from? I didn't do anything to get it or seek it. So adoshatam, freedom from doshas, are faults or mistakes, from freedom from committing mistakes. Having committed mistakes, then it's like a prayashittam also. Susahitim, getting good good companion, good companionship, or good scholarship in my spiritual pursuit. So Sahitim, also good spouse, they will say, because that is a Sahaya, the one who accompanies me in my spiritual pursuit has to be somebody who helps me move along, not somebody who keeps pulling me this way and that way. So Suputratam, so progeny. So in other words, having an environment that is conducive for my spiritual growth also has to be there. For Bhagavan has to bless me, not only my mind, but also an environment that facilitates my spiritual growth. Samahita ayuhu, a life which is life of composure, the life of relative comfort, at least to the extent that I need to be comfortable and discomfort doesn't become another obstacle for me. Ashtabhutim, the one who, Ashabhuti is Vibhutis, the one who is blessed by the grace of, so Ashtabhut, Ashtalakshmi. We all know what is Ashtalakshmi. So different forms of grace that are there. And that is what is our real wealth. So the one who is blessed with all these different forms of prosperity. Saha achirat abhyupaiti. Achirat is with the before long, immediately Sri Ganesha, not like after few lifetimes. No, you pray to Sri Ganesha, immediately one is blessed with all that one needs. So with this we conclude this is a quick look at this beautiful Panchakam, 5 verses. So, Pancharatnam, Sri Ganesha Pancharatnam. So, with this, I'll stop the prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Dhiraj, just a quick question.
1 second, please.
Okay.